In this video, I'm going to explain the filter options for the time entry grid. If you want to filter the grid or change the way the grid works, you'll choose filter here. And at the top, the very first setting is include future tasks which occur within, you can see default, 0 weeks of the end of the range. So that means any task that occurs in this week will appear. If you want future tasks to appear, you could say, I want everything that's going to start within the 3 weeks of the end of this current week, and then that'll pull in more tasks. If you want to just pull in, a whole year's worth, you could say 51 weeks from the end of the range, and it'll pull any task that starts or occurs within that range, including and anything that should have occurred already that's not marked done. The next setting, these two settings are newer and they allow you to include any project that you're a PM on. So right now, only projects show up here if you have a task on them or if you have top-down allocation by default. That way you don't, a lot of times people have too many, they have a project, they get assigned to it, but they really don't have anything on there. So you don't want your grid to be cluttered up with things. But if you just want every project you're managing on there, and regardless of whether you've created a task for yourself, that turning that on will do that. The same thing here. This is just any project you're assigned to will show up. If you turn that on, then every project you're assigned to will show up as a place you can put time on. These next three settings are group by settings. So you can group by client or by project or by the summary task. The default is just by project. And then these two, you can include issues or to-dos that you're assigned to will show on to the list. And then the last two settings here include inputs for holidays and vacation days to show up. So if you include those, then you'll have Saturdays and Sundays and holidays show up as well. Other settings are you can filter. You can actually add at the bottom here a company to have time entries for. That's what these settings are here, adding into these two companies to include. You can do it from the filters or you can just add them on the form itself by hitting the add button. And then you can always add a project that you can just add a project manually or a task manually. And if they show up in the ad, then they will show up on the list. But those also appear in the filter, so you can clear them out here as well. And then if you do want to add additional columns, just like any report, right mouse click, insert the columns, so you can add more options here. So maybe I want to show the status, work status, insert that. Now the work status is showing in the column. I want it over here actually. So now I have the work status appearing where I can do that as well. If you ever want to go back to the default, which includes the status, just choose default. But you can always right mouse click and insert more columns into this as well.